Now, as a candidate, I now understand what a case math question is, or an analysis as we call them, but I would really want to know right now what interviewers are looking for. What are they testing for in math questions, case math questions?
It's a good question. And it comes back to, like, if they're not looking for the human calculator, if they're not looking for the person who knows all the math business formulas or whatever, what are they looking for, right?
Yeah.
What's the thing? And I think to understand that, you kind of need to understand what the job entails. Like, how do you use these math skills, these analysis skills on the job?
Mm-hmm.
And the best example that I have is, let's say you're with a client doing a project and you need to find a certain number.
Yeah.
Or find, like, make a chart or find a certain result to reach a conclusion.
Yeah.
And you open up Excel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or any other software, but Excel is the most common. You open up Excel and you have to do a model, or you have to do for instance, a sheet that gives you the result. How's the work done? What people think happens is you input all the data, you do some math, and you get the result, and you present to the client, and they clap to you, and you get promoted. But what actually happens is you first need to know exactly what you're looking for and why, because that determines how you're gonna do the math, right?
Yeah.
The second step is you structure everything that you need in that Excel sheet before you even have the data. Because there's no, like, Google for data in big companies. You actually have a lot of work to do to get the data. You have to go to the IT or to the data department. You have to ask for a data request in most companies, which might take anywhere from 3 hours to 3 days, sometimes a week. So if you ask for the wrong data or for incomplete data, you're not in good shape, right? Because you need another few days or even a week to get the new data. That delays the project. So what you actually do is you structure in your Excel sheet or whatever thing you're using exactly what variables you need, what data you need for each variable, and the logic behind the variables. So you actually build the model first.
Yeah.
Because when you do the logic, then you're sure that the data you're requesting is exactly what you need, right? And then comes the next step, which is getting the data, right? And then you input the data because you have the logic ready. Like, Excel does all the math for you. And once you have a result, you have to interpret that result. Yeah. You have to say what that means. Because you're not going to go to your clients and say, oh, it's 37. And look them in the eye and be like, 37 is the answer. Right? You need to actually say, oh, it's 37 and this means this. And what we're going to do next is this, because if we figure out this other number, like, is 37 a ratio of whatever other number, then the recommendation is this. And then you're actually helping your clients do what they must do. So very long explanation for what they're testing. They're testing if you can do all those things in this order.
I think that there's this hypothetical situation that explains this really well. And I think I've never told you about this one, at least not in these specific terms. But one way to think of an analysis in a case interview or a case math question is you're in front of a client with a client who's bad at math, and you're going to do napkin math with them to reach a number. And that client is not going to like the conclusion that you're going to reach.
That's a good point.
So
sometimes, but
often, in the skills that they're testing are the ones that you need to do to go through this hypothetical situation.
Right.
So you need to structure everything that you're going to do and discuss the logic with the client beforehand, so that you're not disagreeing on the numbers. You're making a deal on how you're going to get to the final number. Right. So you agree on that.
Before they even know what the results will be.
Yes, so that they won't disagree on the numbers before.
Yeah.
So you can do that beforehand. Then you quickly do the math with them. So in a way that they understand because they're bad at math, and in a way that they can reproduce even being bad at math because they're gonna need to show that to their own stakeholders.
Yeah. And
then
also they're gonna need to not feel stupid.
Exactly.
If they don't, like if they don't understand what you're doing, they'll be resistant to the answer because they didn't understand. And if you can explain more clearly, they'll be more they'll feel smarter, basically.
Yeah. And of course, you're not supposed to make mistakes at that time, and you're also supposed to catch if they make a little mistake.
Yeah.
Here or there. If they forget a zero, or if they divide by the wrong number or something like that. So you need to be numerically fluent so that you'll catch those little mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you also need to be able to interpret those numbers in a way that your client won't feel helpless when you give them the number that they don't want.
Right.
So you need to be able to get to a what McKinsey calls a so what. So what that number means in the big picture, and also what they should do next, so that they're biased towards action and not stuck in a position that's not what they wanted in the first place. So basically what you need to do, and that's what you do in a case interview, is structure the problem, structure the math that you're going to do beforehand and discuss that with the interviewer. Then do the math in a way that's numerically fluent. It doesn't need to be superhuman calculator speed. It just needs to be simple and not wrong. And then you need to be able to interpret those numbers and give away next steps.
Yeah, what I like